Hello from Bali. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about empathy and let's start with the definition.
Empathy is quality of people which are lack in our society. When someone is sad or maybe is getting to be boring or is going to have an exam and worried about how it would happen, how it would finish. Maybe it's going to interview and looking for a job, but people surrounding could be empathic and they could listen and ask questions and to be close, or they could be cold, they could be untouchable, and they won't avoid, do not talk about something which don't bother them.
Well, it's actually always, I would say, I was always wondering. So when we say empathy, it's like, okay, I do understand what exactly the person feel. I can really walk in their shoes, but then what do I do? Because I do believe it's also action, like whether I do feel bad for them or I actually would use it because, well, I'm empathetic, yet I can use it for my own thing. So how empathy could fit into this?
You use the very right word, how to fit in condition of the person. You couldn't get into the brain. You couldn't break the understanding of the person, which has some universe inside the brain. But it is very important to show your empathy. For example, some mother would say, okay, my kids have a fight and one of them broke my vase and another is spoil my dress and something like this. If you will just looking sad without saying nothing, it would be not enough, because when we talk to the women, they do not want just us to listen. They want from us support. Sometimes men would say, okay, what could I do for you? And at this point, a woman could be offended. I do not want you to do something with my child. I could manage them, but I want from you just something. I heard you, I understand you, and I could feel your pain. When you talk with boys and with women, with men, you will understand that they want support in some hard way. And one of their condition is distraction. For example, a man after interview would be very upset because he don't want to lose the job or something like this. And if you will say, oh, come on, you will get this job and maybe this company is not good for you, something like this, it wouldn't help. Much better to say, okay, maybe not this time, but I am sure that you are quite a qualified person and you're smart enough. So you should talk about their qualities, not about the problem, not about the situation which hurt them.
And I also feel that the moment you want to, I would say, like scan the person, you also need to keep all of the context. So it feels like sometimes before you want to react to someone, you need to understand like whether this book is really open, whether there are like some chapters that, you know, like maybe I will have an idea about them, or maybe I recall, and every time we interact with someone, I will take a note, and then I would try to quickly, I would say, like reread this book. So then I would understand, okay, what might be the proper answer. And then I do believe there is also a second part of it, like a processing, like we do know the context, we do feel the empathy, but then we also need to decide what to do. So maybe we'll start with the first part, like how to understand how deep this book, this person, you know, like maybe this situation, and what might be other things that's really not being told, but yet we still need to be aware of them so that we can make our answer more or less proper.
I will stick to your phrase. Let's compare empathy to the way how you eat in restaurant. For example, you came to a foreign kitchen and you have never tasted khinkali, and then you will be explained that this piece of bread with meat inside you should use to eat just with hands, without any fork, without any knife. Or for example, there is different stories how to eat pizza. In our etiquette, it's quite usual to use fork and knife, but for Italian, it would be a very hurt. If, for example, you will go to Germany and you will eat some sausages, you should wash them in the beer. And a lot of people not from the Germany will think, what is a strange behavior. But anyway, you use the words chapter and book. And first, when you are going to be empathetic man or woman, you should name the feeling which you want to share with another. It could be grief, it could be happiness. It could be some other stuff, but you should name it. For example, if I will eat just first meal with my spoon, it could be tom yum, for example, and there are some pieces which are not eatable, so I should take them away or put on side of my plate. The same with speaking. Never say something about beauty of the woman. Never say nothing about bravery or smartness of the man, because it could be very offensive, and it's very painful. So first stage is to know which empathy you should issue. Second, you should understand that issue could be infectional. For example, if you will be sitting in the room and you would be happy, but I would come and I would sit close to you, even we will sit back by back, so you couldn't see my face, you couldn't feel what I mean in what I'm thinking about. But if I'm sad and you are happy, you will understand, or you will feel that your happiness will disappear. It would be like dissolving in the air, and vice versa. If I would be happy and you would be sad, if you will see my smile, you will be happy without any reason. And this is a very powerful tool which we could use to be empathic.
Well, it really feels like it could be some sort of like a chemistry where different things in a different proportions actually could mix and match. And then maybe I will stick to your words when you said like issue, because sometimes we also might be feel, okay, we might be like a robot or machine, someone who is just like processing and analyzing. It's also might be seeing that to be empathetic, you also need to be in maybe in a certain stage, at least, like you could be rested, or maybe even more, you could be actually in that exactly place or position that the person was, so that you could understand. So maybe we could speak more about the person who is like sending those signals before reading them, like how exactly you need to approach to yourself to be empathetic.
There is a saying which I like a lot. It would be translated something like this: if you feel that everyone is hate you, maybe you have not sleep enough. If you hate everyone, you should eat. And a lot of YouTube video will show something like woman would come to the door and knock and will say something angry to her husband, and he will give some piece of cake and maybe coffee, and suddenly after several bites and several sips, this woman will become very happy and I don't know how to say, ласковый,
Tender.
and tender, and everything will change. So it was a time I was on one training, and it was about how to behave between man and woman, something about relations, and I couldn't understand how it's going and so on. And at the break, I was going to the toilet room, to water closet. How to say correctly in your opinion?
It's a water closet or washroom or restroom.
Washroom, restroom, okay, thank you. And then I was standing close, I don't know how to say унитаз.
Vase.
Toilet vase. And then I found a small piece of paper which was stick to the wall. And it was message, I think, to the woman, something like this: if your man came home late night and he is angry and maybe tired, give him a bouquet of the something which contain meat, and then give some space, and after it he will be like a tender dog. And suddenly I realized, yes, if I am angry, if I am tired, first what I want is eating. But for example, if we will ask what girls want, they want comfort. They will say, okay, maybe I am tired, maybe I am looking not so good, but what it cost for you to say that I am pretty one? So say it, and I will become happy.
Well, then maybe from the personal matters, we also will look into business or like a corporates or career-wise. So let's say you are a manager, and like at a certain point of time, you also need to realize that you work with people, not with the machines. So how to, I would say, use the empathy as the dosage, have some sort of like a dosator, and maybe also be context aware, because sometimes it might be like a wartime and you just, like you need to move forward. And maybe sometimes it could be like a peacetime when you just like figure out what to do with all of the fat that you have in the company and how to do this. But yet you will have a people who will sometimes behave, act, throw a tantrum, or vice versa, like will build something against you. So how exactly you should act as a maybe empathetic person?
I will explain in two cases. First, when I was moved from Kiev to Moscow, I was so proud to be such a big chief, and I collected all of my top managers in amount of 500 people. It was a huge governmental hostel close to the Moscow, and it was close to the Christmas Eve, and I started special session with equipment. I know how to say it's what was remote control with several buttons like yes, no, or I don't know what to say. And then I showed my presentation, and first page was something like this: if you will go to the dentist, would you like him to think about health of your teeth, or you would like to he would think about your wallet? And people could use yes for thinking about your health, and no for thinking about your wallet. And predictably, all the people, all the managers were pressing one, because they want to see be healing after the observation of their health. And there were a lot of other questions, but when we got the calculation, when we got the results, it was quite expectable that everyone was saying, we want to be a person in the chair. And I was saying, dentist and gynecologist, is the way to say gynecologist?
Yeah, gynecologist.
Gynecologists, it's almost the same doctors, because they are going inside of us, and couldn't be pleasant. So it's very intimate operations, and we want them to be attentive, because it's about something which inside us. But as a bankers, we often think, okay, this person has a huge bank account and we could serve him well, and this person is a poor one, so we will not do our best. But people could grow. For example, some people with a large amount of money, they will go to the forex exchange, foreign exchange, or they will go to the Bitcoin, and they will lose all they have. And sometimes people who are smart, they will grow their bank account, and they could leave our company, because they will feel that in some other institutions they will be served better. And second, I was on the training with Dan Kennedy. It was very expensive in close to Garden of the God, huge rocks in the middle of desert. Desert or desert?
Desert.
Desert, thank you.
Yes,
Desert.
correct.
Desert. And suddenly it was one topic about enquete, I don't know how to say, questionnaire, which is named Q11. 11 questions you should ask yourself and your colleagues before you will become a company with a great culture. And one of the questions made me astonished, and I was lose my tense of time. It was something like this: are you sure that if something will happen with your client, he will understand that you're on his side, not on the side of your company? And it was destroying completely all of my internal fortress, because I was thinking that my company is always right, my employee is always right, my boss always right, and clients could make mistakes. But suddenly I realized, when I go, for example, to board the plane, when I go on boarding to travel on seaboard, I want to be honored, and I don't want to have discussions. So it was a breaking point, and I understand that I should use empathy. Do not try to be right, try to be empathic.
Well, actually, I think this is a really nice segue to another, maybe a little part of our conversation, because recently I was, like checking Emirates tickets. So what they offer when you move from one city to another, and you have a city in between. In my case, it will be Dubai. So it will be Bali, Dubai, and Moscow. They would offer you a time to stay over if it will last like more than, I would say like 20 hours. So for me, it also feels like empathy. Like, hey, someone is traveling, you just give them maybe a little room to break, maybe a little room to rest. So hence there will be more or less like a grateful. And maybe another example, when I was speaking to like a Emirates Bank, because I had to, there was like some sort of issue, so they feel like empathetic. Maybe it was like professional empathy, but yet, like you feel that they on your side to help, and vice versa. There was like a delivery service, so you feel like they're really eager to drop the phone, to hang on you, and just like go ahead with their life. So maybe one thing that I definitely want to understand is like how exactly maybe you teach people to be empathetic towards your customers, like how exactly they need to act and what they should prioritize or not, and maybe what kind of like a control they will have over the little situation or little encounters they may have to with each other.
I have been in Harvard for several times, and I was taking courses like mini MBA, MBA Booster, and MBA Executive. I love several profs, and I was going there for 5 times. And it was a case I couldn't tell the name of the company, but it was a rental car. On the first place, it was Hertz, if I'm not mistaken. On the second, another company, and I'm afraid to tell the name because I could mix it. But they have a great advertisement strategy. They were saying like this: we are not the first, we're second on the market, and we couldn't afford for ourselves to serve you not in a full strength, because if we will do, we will lose you. And you know, when I was thinking about this and I was listening to the prof and other students were discussing, it was very strange. It's a really great point to say we should eager to serve you better because we are second. I was working in Alpha Bank, which is the largest private bank, and we have no such step or leverage to use. But I was thinking, okay, so company on the second and third place could say openly and directly, we will serve you better because we should.
Well, this is actually reminds me the phrase that the second is actually the true first. And I do believe we concluded everything about empathy and how it could be helpful for you and make this world a better place. Stay in peace.